When you make a sale to someone who needs it and you're genuinely passionate about what you're talking about, that is a great recipe for building a great business, because not only are you selling with confidence and conviction, because you don't have any guilt or shame around, oh, I'm not quite who I say I am. You're also providing value to people who are getting that result as well. And you're going to earn more money. You're going to earn a lot more money doing that long term. So that's my take on why. One, you're going to feel good. Two, they're going to feel good. And then it's perpetual. It's like they're going to recommend you. And it just makes the whole process very, very inspiring and enjoying.
You're listening to the Sales Today podcast, and I'm your host, Fred Copestake. On this podcast, we explore how sales professionals can develop a modern approach to winning business, the application of virtual selling techniques, how to create meaningful business relationships, and much more. Why not take our free collaborative selling scorecard to see how your sales approach suits today's environment? You'll find a link in the show notes. And welcome to this episode of the Sales Today podcast, part of the Ethical Selling mini-series. Now, I am delighted to be joined by Jason Graystone. Jason has been on the podcast before. We've spoken about various things. We've talked about fair exchange of value. We've talked about sales. In this instance, we're going to be talking about sales, obviously, but more kind of the ethics of sales, the ethics of business. Why is Jason qualified to do this? Well, this guy practices what he preaches. He's an entrepreneur and an investor. He's built businesses and he helps people build businesses. And one of the things that's key to all this is that there's an ethical approach to this. So that's why I wanted him to come along and just share his thinking around this. So Jason, welcome. Thank you for coming on and spending a bit of time with us.
Welcome back. Thanks for having me on again.
Welcome back. That's a biggie. I mean, you're also a podcast host. I should have mentioned that. 2 podcasts. And having repeat invites is quite a big deal, actually, isn't it? It's quite a big deal. So yeah. Ethical business. Business. Should we just get straight into it, mate, and start with why? Why should we be ethical business? Yeah. No hanging about here.
I think there's many reasons why from both standpoints, from both customer and a business standpoint. The reason I got into business in the first place, doing what I do now, is because there was so much crap out there, frankly. And I'd actually achieved something that I thought others would benefit from. And I started pitching it to people and talking to people about what I'd done. And I could see their eyes light up. And I thought, well, there's definitely a demand here. And some people were just like, oh, that doesn't interest me in the slightest. And I thought, okay, well, there's some people that are interested and there's some people that it doesn't. And I thought, if I could package something together and really help someone, the right someone who actually wants to know this stuff and wants to learn it, then that's great, right? It's something that I know works because I've got the proof in the pudding. I'm not one of these people just reads something and then spits out like second chewed up, regurgitated information to sound like Tony Robbins or some other guru, but it's like, this has actually worked for me. So I know I've got the belief and trust in this process, and I know it will provide value to others. So you package it up, you go and sell it. And when you sell something from that standpoint, today people's BS meter is like so finely attuned because of everything, AI and all these kind of everything online is just fake, so people have really fine-tuned their BS meter and they can spot real. And when they see someone who is talking about something that is genuinely intrinsically or inspiring to the person who's saying it, and they can see that it's something that lights that person up, I think that comes across with people, and I think people resonate a lot easier. So when you make a sale to someone who needs it and you're genuinely passionate about what you're talking about, that is a great recipe for building a great business, because not only are you selling with confidence and conviction, because you don't have any guilt or shame around, oh, I'm not quite who I say I am. You're also providing value to people who are getting that result as well, and you're going to earn more money. You're going to earn a lot more money doing that long term. So that's my take on why. One, you're going to feel good. Two, they're going to feel good. And then it's perpetual. It's like they're going to recommend you. And it just makes the whole process very, very inspiring and enjoyable.
Yeah, I know you talk about inspiring and being inspired and inspiring people a hell of a lot. But you used a couple of strong words there. So yeah, feel good. Well, of course we want to feel good. But the words that I scribbled down while you were writing there was feeling guilt and shame about what you do. They're strong words. So strong emotions even. Yeah.
They're strong emotions, and they'll catch you up and stop you from being able to earn any more money. You see this a lot with, I think that you just get humbled by the market eventually. If you're a fake or you're doing something unethical, you will get humbled by the market naturally, and it will force you to become more altruistic and more giving and more caring. But for that period of time, if we're talking about sustainability here, let's just say that I'm pretending to be someone I'm not, and I'm going to sell these courses and, trying to get you into a product that I'm not really, 100% doing myself. That will creep up. Eventually, the guilt of doing that will creep up on you, unless you're some kind of crazy, like extreme narcissist or something. It will creep up on you, and it will force you to be humbled. And you see it all the time, right? You see people make a lot of money very quickly, and then you see them lose the money, or over a long period of time, they don't earn any more than the average Joe. Whereas if you can slowly and sustainably build something that you believe in, and you've got results in yourself, and he's getting results for other people, you're going to get, it's a snowball effect. You get more and more customers and more clients. Whereas the other way, you're just getting churn of customers. So it becomes very exhausting as well. I've seen this happen. I've seen this happen all the time. There's one guy in particular, I won't mention names, but he started selling from stage, run to the back of the room, who became in with Success Resources, quite a big thing, just ripping people off. There was no integrity there until the point where you saw the guy forced into his shed to make YouTube videos to provide value to people, because it's the guilt starts creeping in, or they outlet it in another way where they go and set up a charity or something, because it's trying to balance out that guilt with altruism. So it's fascinating. But from a business standpoint, it won't be sustainable to be able to sell something unethically. It really won't.
Yeah, that's interesting then, and the way you've explained being humbled by the market. What you said there, for me, it's different than being caught out.
Yeah,
that's something different. But you say that is far deeper what you explained there, and if I've got this right, you've almost got two options, haven't you? You can go on something which is going to create you. You said snowball. I started drawing a virtuous circle.
Yeah,
where it's just getting better and better and better and going up, and like, oh, because you're doing stuff right. Whereas your alternative, you're kind of going on a vicious spiral, and it's kind of going down. So, make choices.
The further you go away from who you really are, the more difficult your life will be. And the more you move towards who you really are, the greater your life will become, and that will be exponential. So it's a longer play, and but it's triple X reward at the end of it. Sorry, my Siri's butting in. But yeah, it's a very, very, about the market humbling you at a very simple level. If you think about charging the right price, I know we've discussed sales before, but if you undercharge people for the value you provide, sooner or later the market will get you to a position where you can't charge that anymore, because you're going to have so much demand through word of mouth that you won't be able to serve all those people. Therefore, your prices will have to increase. Okay. And the same goes if you charge too much for your service, people just will badmouth you. They won't get the value that they perceived or expected, and you'll have to reduce your prices, or you'll be out of the market because people will go elsewhere. So the market is, I mentioned this at a talk I did on Saturday, it's got a great way of self-equilibrating. It's like a perfect balance. It's getting everything into balance the whole time. And your goal is to sell something that's meaningful to you. It's inspiring to you, and you believe in it because you do it yourself, and you've got congruency. And when you can do that, you'll only go up and up and up, because you won't ever want to escape that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. So thinking about kind of, we got these choices, good path, right path, bad path. Yeah. Why might people not do the ethical thing? I mean, are we okay to say the right thing? Yeah, I suppose it is the right thing. Why would you make the choice to go down that route? Or is it not a conscious choice? I don't know. There's two questions there. Bad podcast
Yeah,
host.
well, that's a fascinating one, right? So there's all sorts of human psychology that would come into that. Firstly, it's like get rich quick. That'd be the most common one. People just jump on the next fad to go and sell something that they don't even believe that the customer needs. They just want to make the sales, and they don't even do it themselves. They're, a lot of these MLM type companies, those sorts of things are set up and they grow off of that promotion. It's like, right, come and sell our stuff. Doesn't matter if you use it or believe in it. Just go and get someone else to sell your stuff. And then get them to get someone else to sell their stuff. And that is that's the epitome. That's like the perfect example of unethical selling to me, because a lot of those people don't believe in the product. If you don't believe in the product, you're unethical selling. So what you've done is you've gone into it to make money fast. And I would say that's the most common thing. So that's one reason. The other reason might be that it's a deep-rooted psychological issue of the person who is trying to get acceptance in some way, maybe, and wants to help someone, but loves the feeling of helping people more than actually the ethical side. So they're just so desperate to help someone and be recognized and acknowledged for helping someone, that it goes, that matters more than whether or not the product's actually right, if that makes sense. So I've seen people do that. I've seen people that have deep issues where they've like come from a background where they wasn't really appreciated or didn't really get much attention, to then go out, they become this authority figure, and they start really like desperately trying to be loved and thanked. So what they do is they just sell anything, just trying to help anyone in any way. So they're not actually specialized in anything. They're just trying to get recognition as quickly as possible. And what happens there, I've seen that happen. And what happens there, they become too diluted in the marketplace because they take on every partnership, every single affiliate, they're selling out basically. And then the market humbles them because they're like, hang on a minute. Yesterday you were selling socks. Today you're selling programs, and now you're selling that. And you see that as well. And when you get to, when I study these people, because that's just weird, that's how I am. When you get to the root of it, it's like, this person, I can almost write their upbringing. And near on every time it's bang on.
That's a really interesting angle, because when we talk about ethics, a lot of people will think of the unethical person is the person who's being deliberately evil.
Not
You talked about
necessarily.
MLM, and it's sort of loading people up with a bunch of product they don't need, all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
you've just shone a really interesting light on that, where it's a sort of people are genuinely trying to help, and it's kind of, they're just not hitting it right, and so the sort of the ethics, you almost like owe it to yourself to get it right as much as your customers. It sort of begins with you, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And look, let's not take the onus off of the buyer as well. Like, everyone's got a responsibility. If you're buying something, you've got a responsibility to make sure you're buying the right thing. And I know there's someone trying to sell it to you, but you've got to ethically buy it. Should you buy it? And a lot of people make poor buying decisions, I think we can all agree.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it swings
Oh
and
yeah, it's an easy one
roundabouts.
to agree
I
to,
think
that, Jason.
I think there's a lot of people that just buy stuff for the sake of it, and gets them in a bit of trouble. But going back to the ethical selling, yeah, some people just don't know that they're not intentionally being unethical. I don't think. I think it's just who they are, and then it's up to the own. But again, the market humbles you. I think people can see through it. People can see when it's actually meaningful to you, which is why I only teach stuff or share stuff that I can prove results with stats and everything, and numbers and all the rest of it, because I feel that people need that these days. Because there's anyone with social media can go on their stage, and if you've got an ounce of confidence, pretend that you've done something and people believe you. But I like to share stuff backed up by stats and science and results, and results of others as well. So yeah.
I mean, you can learn structures and words, can't you? The linguistics and all this sort of stuff, and come across as very, very plausible. But if are you doing that? And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Absolutely nothing wrong. Learning how to
NLP
tell
techniques
a story,
and all that, all of that stuff is very useful in business, because let's just bring it back to ethical selling. If you've got a product that has really helped you and changed your life, and you believe in your heart of hearts that it can help other people, and you select the right people who it can help, and you go and sell it to them, you are doing a disservice to that person by not selling it to them. But here's the thing, they don't know they need it. So it's your job to actually get them to believe they need it, because people don't just buy stuff. So your job to do good in the world is to learn how to influence this person into a sale, into an ethical sale. That's it. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing slimy or sleazy. Your job is to sell that person so that you can help them, because no one knows why they need or what they need. No one knows what they need. Otherwise they wouldn't have the problem. And there are parts of every solution that people are blind to when they want a particular result. They know what they want, but they don't know, they know the result they want, but they don't know what they need to do in order to do it, the process. So it's up to you to sell them on the vision of the goal, and then get them in the door, and then give them the process that they wasn't too sure about. Because if you start telling them about the process, they might go, oh, well, that's confusing to me because I don't want that. I want this result. I want the 6-pack abs. Well, actually, yeah, you've got to do this, this, and this. Oh, no, I don't want that. I want 6-pack abs. It's like, okay, then you've lost that sale, right? So it's a minefield. It really is a minefield. But ethical selling is much easier. Imagine having to do that for a product you don't believe in.
I mean, selling takes a lot of energy, to do it well. And certainly, the world I'm in, B2B sales, where they're extended, sophisticated, complex cycles, lots of people involved that you're trying to influence. So, it's interesting. But while you're talking, I've written down the line that I write down quite often, that everyone lives by selling something. Which is a different podcast altogether, isn't it? And that's not you. Robert Louis Stevenson said that. Awesome stuff. So, I mean, can we put a checklist on ethics? Are there sort of things that you would look at and say, okay, so if you're being ethical, you are probably doing this, 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 and this. Is it that simple? Could we do something like that to help people who are listening sort of go, well, oh yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
And then of course there's a whole another 14-hour podcast in how you actually apply it. But just the kind of the checklist, and we can sort of take it from there.
Okay, ethical selling. Are you selling the product to the right person? And is it right? Is the person right for your business? That's ethical selling. So for me, it's like, have I achieved something and overcome something and got a result in something that I would help other people, that I would love to help other people with, and I would love to teach other people how to do? Answer's yes. Some stuff you might not want to do that, right? So let me give you an example. I love, I've got a pretty decent marriage, right? I've got a good marriage. It's been going on for years. I wouldn't want to be a relationship counselor, right? So I wouldn't want to serve people doing that, but I've got that. I play guitar since I was 10, but I wouldn't want to teach guitar. I'm not a very good guitar teacher. So I would get frustrated, and, I wouldn't enjoy it. I achieved financial freedom at 29 years old. I love wealth building. I love investing. I love building businesses and buying assets and creating assets. Would I love to teach other people doing that? Yes. Tick. There's your first checklist onto ethical selling, right? Find out something you've achieved and you've done and you do and you love, and what would you love to teach other people's doing, right? You've got a result in it. Might be a 200-meter swimming badge for all I care, but it's something you just want to teach other people. Next thing, can I find someone who, how do I profile someone who is right for this product? Well, depending on what it is their goal the goal that you had before you achieved that result? And if so, yes, tick, that's a good prospect. If it's not, then that's not a good prospect. And an example of that would be someone who wants to I'll go to my example. Someone who wants to become financially free and have an income passively, say, I would not go and tell to go and put all their money into a house to buy a house, because then they're locked up all of their money, which they now can't use to create more income. Whereas there's a lot of property people going, get on the property ladder, go and buy this, that, and the other. And people start doing it and they realize, actually, I need that. Now I've got less income. So, just kind of making sure that you're getting the right people with the right motivation and understand the motivation. And then that's really it. Then if you've got that match, if you've got something that you feel inspired to teach, and you've got results in yourself, and you find someone else that needs that and wants that, and would love to have that result, then it's okay to apply urgency and scarcity and sales techniques to getting them into your product, because that's what they need. But they don't know they need it. So that the checklist is, do I love it? Do I love teaching it? Can I monetize it? That's your part. Second checklist, does that person fit the bill? Are they right for it? Do they want the actual outcome that I can give them? And is this what they want long term? Check. Sell them. That's it. That's really it. There's going to be a lot less friction on sales when you match those two, because one, the energy is going to come from you, just speaking like I'm speaking now. It's like, I love talking about this stuff.
I know you do.
Can tell that it's like, wow, this guy really loves like talking about business. Yes, that's how you need to be. And people can smell that. People can see it. They can feel it. So that's one friction gone. And then the other friction is, it's such a close match to what the person wants. You're talking in their language. The amount of times that people say to me, I felt like you just did this one podcast for me, or I felt like you just built this product for me. Well, that's because I am. If I wasn't, you wouldn't be in the audience. You wouldn't be having a chance at even buying it. So it's removes a lot of friction.
Yeah. Friction's a big word. So we're thinking about people in B2B sales. Yeah. They've got a job to sell for somebody else, when they're working for a big company or whatever. I mean, the second part of your checklist, which is profiling the right customer and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah. ICPs, personas, values. Actually, not many people do profile based on values, which is actually a pretty good idea. Value graphics.
That would help.
Well, yeah, because that's what really drives people at the end of the day.
That's where you're talking to someone's like core spirit, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I've done a couple of podcasts on that, actually. I might pop links to those in along with this. But the first bit you said, though, is that you're doing it because you really care about it. Now, it is going to be tough then if you've got a job selling widgets, because that's what gives you the money so you can do all the stuff you do. But if you're not really that bothered about widgets, you've made your life tough.
If you're not really that bothered about widgets, I don't think you'd be listening to this podcast. And the reason I say that is because you probably aren't interested in learning how to grow and develop in your business at all anyway. Which is why I say it's best to get a job doing something you love. I know plenty of people that sell widgets and have done for years and years. And if you cut them open, they would bleed the logo of the company. They love it, right? They love the corporate. And I can name tens of those people, right? And that's great. And they love it and they have no problem. If you're in a business and you're looking to, maybe you do love the product and you do love the company and you're trying to, level up or make a name for yourself or see how to get more sales to other businesses, then it's still the same thing applies. You're not talking to a business. You're talking to a human being in that business who has a set of values, and you're talking about, or you're talking about selling something to a company who also has values and that aligns with the owner of the company or the mission statement of the business. You're tapping into someone's values somewhere along the line. And if that is a right fit and you believe that's a right fit, then you can demonstrate why it's a right fit. Then, that's kind of the angle you want to go down. It's not about, here's my product, it's cheaper than everyone else, you should buy it because you'll get more money. Sometimes it isn't about money. Sometimes it's about a bigger picture. Sometimes it's, about staff retention. Sometimes it's about In fact, business to business selling, staff retention, if you're selling to big corporates, putting greenery in the office. I did a study once, and this is how geeky I am, but there's a study, and it's I can't remember the name of it. I want to say agri something. And it's basically this study that shows that if there's green in your office, you have less chances of depression. And it is by the tiniest percentage, right? And people who have light wells in their offices have less chance of depression than people who don't have natural light sources. So what they found is, even if you just have a picture of a plant on a TV, that still has the same effect, which is fascinating. But when you dig down to the importance of this, it means that Joe might have one less sick day every 2 years, right? But when you're talking to a company like Facebook or Google or YouTube or some massive corporation, you're talking about millions of pounds lost as a result of people having sick days, right? So those types of companies get it, and it can be something just like that. And if you can tap into that value or that pain point of that customer, that business, and demonstrate to them and explain why, and give them the stats and show them the proof, then it's very difficult to not make a sale, because it's a no-brainer. It's like, this is costing you £10 million. Our product is £1 million. And you'll get a return on investment forever. So it's about looking at things.
Don't worry about being too geeky. I'm just as geeky when it comes to researching stuff. and well, I was again screwing down here. It made me think of a study that Bain did. And they looked at these elements of value that people buy, and they came up with these 40 elements. And they looked at them and they went, well, there's like 6 of them which are table stakes anyway. And if you can't deliver that value, you're not even playing the game. So stop going on about it fits your spec and it does all this sort of stuff, because if it doesn't, you're not part of the conversation.
Yeah.
When you look at the others, they are broadly emotional anyway. It's not about the ROI. It's not about the sort of the factual element. It's the fact that I got to be the guy who was known to reduce the sick days in the office by X% and saved us that many pounds. I actually slept better at night because I realized that all my staff weren't getting stressed. It's those kind of things. And again, if you're not really bothered about what it's just selling, you're not going to go that deep with somebody, are you? But when you do, and you really try to find that stuff out, that's when the conversations are on fire.
Absolutely.
Main elements of value is in a Harvard Business Review. Put that in. So, okay, cool. So, ethical selling. We talked about why. Talked about why people might not. If somebody's listening to this, I don't know how you cut that out. Actually, you wouldn't bother listening to a pair of guys talking about ethical selling on a podcast if you weren't half bothered already.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, hang on a minute, these might actually be making a bit of sense between them. You're a little bit worried about, what, I might not be as up to speed on this as I could be or as I should be. What would you say would be kind of almost like the first step? I know you're really good about steps and getting things done quickly and starting the ball rolling. What would be the first step that somebody could do after this to just sort of build that momentum a bit further?
Do your own value foundation. So if you feel like, I know this could help me, and I'm not feeling congruent, you've touched a nerve a little bit, and I feel like I might be a little bit incongruent or unethical, and I know, and I can see the power of ethical selling, and I want true belief in it. The first thing you can do is just go and ask yourself, what are your true values? And I always say, like, best place to start, look through your camera roll on your phone and just see the theme of things that you decide to take photos of. What do you love doing in life? What would you spend most of your disposable income on? If you didn't have to work on Monday, what would you do first? What do your friends always know you for bringing up in conversation? What are you most reliable in? What are you most dependable in? What do people rely on you most for, or can rely on you most for? Those sorts of questions will pose or force you to answer, and there'll be a theme that will be very, very close to what would be a good idea to devote your life to. Now, it doesn't mean that it has to directly be devoted your life to it, right? If you find out that you're a family person, how can you look at your product that you're selling and see where it helps you become a better family person? How can it help you become more of a better business person? How has it helped you? So how does it align with you as a human being? Now, some people will just realize, actually, yeah, it doesn't align with me at all. But that might make you think, perhaps I should sell something else, or perhaps I should tweak the offer. Or if it's my product, perhaps I should add this a little bit or add that a little bit. I'll give you an example here, right? I knew a person who was selling the whole business model was around ethical selling of a product, which I won't mention because someone might know her. But she was wearing fur, right? And I said to her, do you think you struggle? Because she was struggling to promote this business. Again, she had this lack of confidence to push the business forward. And this goes back to what I was saying. There's a humbling going on. There's something going on that's subconscious that's stopping you from being able to promote this. I said, do you think it's because you wear fur? And I just said it to her. And she went, you could tell that she completely agreed, like by the look on her face, but she was like, yeah, but I love fur. And she tried to talk out of it. And I said, that's why. I said, how can you go out there and sell ethical products like this, but you're wearing fur on the other hand? And the terror that goes into creating fur and the fur market and all the rest of it. And she was like, you're right. It's even not right. I said, you've got a decision to make. You either stop selling that product or you turn your life around and stop wearing fur, and and that plays into your support of you selling a product. I don't know what she did, but it definitely hit a nerve. And I think by doing a value check, you will find some things that either conflict or are in alignment. And if they're not like obviously glaringly in alignment, think outside the box a little bit about how you can align it with the product, because that helps as well. It's like, well, okay, well, I love football. This helps. This product has helped me have more time so I can go to football with my son or whatever it might be, right? So you can kind of align it in a holistic way rather than a direct way. And all of those little things will help.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely love that. So the value foundation piece.
Yeah. For many people, they'll do that value foundation and they'll go, this just job isn't right. I knew it wasn't right. I knew this product wasn't right for me.
Because you're probably feeling it a little bit anyway, not sure where that feeling is coming from. So you're just kind of becoming more conscious about that, aren't you? So you can.
Yeah, it's just confirmation of what you already thought.
Yeah. That's brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant. Oh, I could go on and on talk about this. As you know, I think you could as well.
Podcast.
We might well have to. I've got so many other questions written down here, but we want to try and keep this on half an hour. Well, look, when we say other podcasts, there are other podcasts where you do talk about some of this stuff. So do you want to give a shout out to those? Better give a shout out to those.
So my podcast is
Lose
always
my
free.
own listeners. What a the ethical thing to do, mate. It's the ethical thing to do.
Yeah, my podcast is always free, and as ethical as I can be, I believe that you'll get the most from that podcast if you start at episode 1. Episode 1 to 20 odd, I've done in order specifically to give you guys the result that I believe will help you. So if you go and listen to Always Free, start at episode 1. If you're still listening at episode 6, let me know how you're finding it. And if you like business stuff, I run another podcast called the Chief Aim podcast with my partner, Sebastian Bates. And we talk about business stuff there.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. Well, I like both, but yeah, I've been listening to the Chief Aim one. It's very cool.
Great.
Very cool indeed. Jason, awesome stuff. We'll put links to those in the chat. In the chat. I'm not in a webinar yet. That's later today. In the show notes. And look, once again, thank you so much for spending a bit of time and sharing your thoughts on this.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Today podcast with me, your host, Fred Copestake. I hope you've enjoyed what you heard today. If you did, please get in touch and hit subscribe. And remember, you can take the Collaborative Selling Scorecard for free to check out how your sales approach works in today's environment. You'll find it in the show notes.